What's going on? What's going on? This is the ATL Three Style Live Podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, Lee OG. And tonight we are live. We are live out there in Facebook land and YouTube land. What's going down? Before we get into the show, I gotta pass it over to the cats that hold me down, the other co-hosts of the ATL Three Style Live Podcast. I'm gonna go over to the east to my brother Derek out there. What's going on with your brothers?
What's going on, Leo G? What's going on, Baby Banks? It's a pre-draft discussion, and we ready to toss it up.
That's right. We're going to talk all things NFL draft tonight, giving y'all a little preview with an emphasis on our Atlanta Falcons because that's what we do, Atlanta sports. And before I get on any further, over to my man down there on the south. What's going on, baby? Banks.
What's going on, Leo G? How you feeling over there, Derrico?
Feeling 100 over here, my brother. Yes, sir.
Getting ready for this NFL draft special. I got lots to say, fellas. Lots to say.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if I got that much to say, man, because I'm kind of clueless, but we'll get into it. But before we get too far into it, fellas, y'all know what time it is. Y'all know what we got to do, man. We got to talk a little bit about our partners, man. We've been shouting them out here for the last several shows here, going on probably a year. Definitely, Derek, I want to give a shout out to our boy out down the east side, right?
What's going on, Uncle Phil Johnson over here with Eastland Woodworking Company? My boy over here on my side of the world. Baby Banks over there showing you what you got over there. Got some product. What's that, Banks? That's a coaster that looked like you got a Falcon, Atlanta Falcon on one side, and that B for Baby Banks on the right-hand corner. My boy doing it big over there. So if you need some of that woodworking, you better holler at my boy Phil Johnson over here at Eastland Woodworking Company, over here on the east side in Walton County, Loganville, GA.
But you sound like Edmund Patterson on the radio back in the day. That's for all y'all ATL folk that, was familiar with my man Edmund Patterson. He used to be on the radio banks. I don't know if you remember him back in the day. He used to be on 1380 WAOK gospel radio station. I'm dating myself, but that was way, way back in the day, man. He was a gospel legend here in the city of Atlanta. Derrick shaking his head. He probably knows who he is, man. So that's real ATL if you know who my man Edmund Patterson was, man, and truly did. It was a gospel pioneer here in the city of Atlanta. That's who Derrick sounded like on their promo, Banks.
Carbon copy, sir. Carbon copy. But they in the same generation, so that probably why it sounded so authentic.
Boy, I ain't throwing today. Look at that.
Boy,
he came out swinging. He came out swinging, boy. He came out swinging today. Hey, man, listen, always, we got to go over to our man BEZ over there, man. Y'all see it. Y'all know what it is, man. Got some of that moisturizing, conditioning spray. Y'all got to hit my man up over there, 470-222-9927. Hit my man Bachi up over there if y'all trying to get a hold of some of that product, man, for your natural hair, your beards, your braids, whatever. He got it, man. So I'm going to date myself again, man. If y'all familiar with that product, Stay Soft Fro, you know what I'm saying, from back in the day. That's what my man is coming with that moisturizing spray. It's kind of like that Stay Soft Fro. I don't even think they sell that no more. You might be able to get that somewhere overseas or something. I don't know, but I'm dating myself a little bit with that. But yeah, man, hit my man Bachi up over there, man. Shout out to him and Phil, man. Also, if you didn't get a chance to hit the QRC code, man, you can see Phil out there on Etsy, and we'll try to get some more information from my man Bachi. I got to hit him up. I got to get some more product, and I got to get some over to you, Derrico. All right, fellas, it is an NFL draft preview. Y'all already know what time it is. It's that time of the year, man. The NFL tries to get as much as they can and squeeze as much out of it as they can out of the business of professional football. So we are here. It is upon us. And I don't know, man. This traditionally was always like, a fun time of year for me. I don't know about you, Banks, but, now here as of recent, this can kind of be a little an anxiety-filled type situation with the fan base, with the Falcons here. It's just, over the last couple of years, I don't know what to say. We've gone through a gamut of emotions. Specifically, last year when we made the move to take Michael Penix in the first round. Banks, how do you feel about draft time and about the draft now with the Falcons over the last couple of years and the surprises and the shocks that we've had?
Completely numb. And let me tell you something. I'll tell y'all a little story. This time last year, I was in Vegas and I was at a sports bar and I had my Falcons gear on and I'm up here all excited to see, what we gonna pick at our, was it number 8 we had last year? Well, I'm sitting there in the bar and everybody, had different, affiliates of fans in the bar. So everyone had they team they were waiting on. So when he got to my team, and all of a sudden Roger Goodell gets to the stage and he called out Michael Penix Jr. It's like everyone stopped and just looked right back at me, like they want a reaction out of me. I didn't say nothing. I didn't. I just kept drinking my beer. I I got my check, paid it out, walked out. I was so crushed because I felt like that was the last thing we needed. Not to say that, at that moment, I like Michael Penix, but we went and got Kirk Cousins. But that's another discussion. I'm not gonna get into that today. But yes, I'm numb to this going into the drafts now. It's just whatever. You do what you do, just take with it. Swing, swing, swing with the wind, how they say it.
Boy, I hear the pain in your voice, Derrico. I hear the pain in Banks' voice, the numbness to it.
Yeah.
Derrico, man, your thoughts on the draft? Like I said, last year took that jump and took Michael Penix, and it was kind of weird, a little anxiety filled, man. But how do you feel as draft time approaches in these last couple of drafts here with the Falcons, brother?
Well, I'm just gonna focus since he hit on last year. I'm just gonna focus on this year. It's like I'm telling you, when I woke up this week, it was like, oh, it's draft. It's the draft. It's the NFL draft. Usually, like 2 weeks before, I'll be like, okay, it's the NFL draft. Let me get my stuff together. What I'm gonna do. What I want to see. I'm just at the point like Banks. I'm just like, you know what? They never do what we think they're gonna do. So I really got to the point where I just hung my hat in the closet and just said, I'm just gonna watch and whatever they do, that's what's gonna happen. So I won't be disappointed. I won't be sitting there punching air at the TV or nothing like that. So my excitement level has really kind of gone down a little bit. And that's probably because, as you get older too, you be like, yeah, I'm not putting all this worry and frustration into something that is not loving me back. So that's where I'm at with it.
Man, you trying to get that blood pressure up. I feel you, dog. Yeah, you getting up. We getting up there at that age. You ain't trying to get that blood pressure too high over stuff, especially that we have no control over. Yes, I feel you, fellas. Both of you guys. I feel both of you guys' sentiments, man. The draft was, it used to be kind of exciting. I mean, the Falcons have had a roller coaster of drafts here, especially when we talk about first round picks. And I know a lot of our fans have had mixed emotions about several of the picks that we've had over the last couple of years. So before we really get off into this, man, I just want to acknowledge everybody that's checking us out on Facebook Live, on YouTube, man. Feel free to drop some comments. Let us know how y'all feeling about this draft, man, and let us know if it's anything that y'all want to talk about specifically as we talk about the NFL draft tonight. Fellas, want to do something a little cool here for just a second here, and I'm going to swing it over to you, Derrico, man. Give me your most memorable draft pick by the Atlanta Falcons.
Mm. I'm just gonna be honest with you. My most memorable was the quarterback that kind of put our franchise back on the map, and that was that quarterback from Virginia Tech, number 7, MV7, none other than Michael Vick. So that's probably my most memorable draft pick because of the trajectory of our franchise after he was picked. So right now, that's the one.
Banks, over to you, man. Your most memorable Atlanta Falcons draft pick, man.
Kind of stole my thunder there, Derek Cole, but I'm gonna go ahead in a different direction. The most memorable that I will never forget is probably when we drafted Tat McKinley, the one who was bringing his picture of his grandmother up there and cussing and about to tear the stage apart. And we think we got us a killer to get to the quarterback, and we end up getting a dud. So, yeah, I mean, insert name here when you talk about pass rush with this team, man. I mean, it's like it's the same old, same old. You know, we got to wait and see. We got a project. He's a little raw. When we just gonna get that dude, bro? I'm tired of hearing all these projects and it's a possibility. I just want the guy. Just give me the guy. I don't care about no project. No, He is his first time playing college ball last the previous year, so we got to be patient with him. No, we're not. I'm not about that life anymore.
All
So
right,
yeah,
but well, I was trying to bring some positivity out of you, but since you want to be negative, I get it. I get it. We'll
it's
get in
nothing
and we'll discuss it.
negative. Negative. You mean to tell me these
We'll,
past drafts has been positive to you?
I, the
Okay,
question that was posed to you was
we'll digress.
your most
And I
memorable moment,
and
and
I
you
can't.
gave it to us.
It's not that many, Leo.
All
Like
right, so
Derico took the one that I was gonna say. I was gonna
all
say
right,
Michael Vick,
You
but
could have
so
repeated it.
you could have
We
repeated
want,
it,
we,
but it's
yeah,
all good, man.
we
We
but
want
wouldn't
to,
have
we
guess
held
want
that
to,
against you.
but
we
but
want,
guess what?
we would have been like,
That
oh,
this
don't,
that
yeah.
says a lot about the franchise that we can only pick out one moment in the
So
draft. Like
listen,
we can't go in a different positive direction about
so
who else
listen.
we draft that was
I,
positive.
I'm gonna go in a positive direction, fellas, with mine. It's actually two, but actually the one that kind of sticks out, and it was a killer draft. If you go back, by the way, and look at it, the 2011 draft, we picked the kid out of Alabama that ended up being a very, 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 very good player for the Atlanta Falcons. Guy by the name of Julio Jones in 2011. I was excited to see him, and he lived up top billing to the expectations of what we saw. I think that was the last draft pick that we got that we actually knew that, you know what I'm saying, I think this guy was going to live up, and he did. This guy in his career here as a Falcon, probably goes on that Mount Rushmore of elite Falcon players that has played for this organization and franchise. So that's one of the moments that I felt like you got a solid player, and I felt really good about that draft. Also, we can go back, of course, and talk about number 7, obviously Derek Cole, when he came into this organization and flipped the organization around, and also number 2 when we drafted Matt Ryan as well. So those are a couple of moments for me that I was excited about. Like you said, though, Banks, yes, obviously there has been some disappointment. There has been some emotions had us all over the place with this draft, and we'll get into it and we'll talk about it, and we'll talk about what the Falcons could do on tomorrow night. So listen, fellas, let's talk a little bit about the guy who's going to be over the draft. Let's talk a little bit about Terry Fontenot going into, I think this is his, correct me if I'm wrong, fellas, this is his either 5th or 6th draft. Am I right or wrong? Is it the 5th or 6th draft, fellas? Which one is it for Terry?
And this is fifth. I mean, I think
It's
this is
going
his second. It's his second one with Raheem Morris, and
yeah,
he only
second one
had
with,
3 with Arthur Smith.
so you're going
So
into the 5th
I'm gonna
draft
say it's
here.
the
I
second.
mean,
I'm gonna say it's the
well,
second because everybody knows
Okay.
who was running the draft before Raheem got here, and it wasn't Terry. So
that's
I don't care what they
BS.
say.
He did run that draft, but I digress. He does
Okay.
not get a pass. He did run
Who?
that. Terry
Boy,
Fontenot,
no.
He did run that. So don't be trying to
Okay.
take up for it and cover up for him.
Well, listen,
He
I
ran
don't
it.
know.
His first
I
pick
wasn't
was Kyle Pitts. His first pick.
okay. I wasn't there. I don't know who did that. I
Ooh.
mean, obviously, yes, the head coach and the GM are supposed to, I guess, work in tandem in order to draft people. Derek Cole, like you said, if he got overruled by, what I'm saying, the grumpy other dude that we had at coach is now somewhere else. I don't know. But anyway, I digress. Let's get into it here with Terry Fontenot and some of his philosophy. He had a press conference today going into the draft and what they look for. Obviously, we've heard this song and dance on numerous occasions about what they look for and what they're going to do. A lot of it is almost, smoke screens because they don't want anybody to have any insight as to what they're going to do. Obviously, last year was a very big curveball at the number 8 spot when we took Michael Penix. But just taking a couple of words from Terry today, listening to the press conference and what he talked about and how the draft preparation starts. Actually, it's a year-round process. It doesn't just happen after the football season is over with. As fellas, we know it starts with the scouts. It starts with a lot of people going out and evaluating talent all throughout the year and getting ready into the draft, going into the combine and moving into tomorrow night. So one of the things that Terry said was they talked about talent and they talked about evaluating each position and what they wanted to do and where they wanted to prioritize who they want to bring into the organization to help bolster this team. Also, one of the things here, guys, and I'm going to sit here and talk a little bit about this because you hear Terry talk a lot about, it's a big word here that, we don't hear it thrown out a lot, and it's ethos. One of the things they look at, not only do they look at talent on the field, but they look at ethos. They look at the characteristics and Does somebody fit in culturally with what they have going on here in this organization? So I'm going to quote what Terry said. One of the things he said in the press conference. You go through it. There's character flags that we discuss, and there's players that we wouldn't bring in the building because of those things. But it's a very detailed, thorough process that we take very seriously. One of the things we talk about as fans all the time is there something preventing the Falcons from bringing in elite players from the draft? With that being said, I just talked about ethos, and one of the things Terry said in his press conference. Derek, I'm gonna bring it over to you. What do you feel like the Falcons, as far as ethos is concerned, that they are looking for when they bring players into the organization? I have a few items that I think they look for, but what, in your opinion, outside of talent wise, what do you think the Falcons look for when they look at these guys that they want to draft into the organization?
Captains, clean cut, no trouble, good in front of the camera. That's what I think, because it definitely ain't FOOTBALL football players. I can tell you that, because there's always something that they looking for that ain't standing out to say that that dude right there is a baller. And I think that's one of the things we talked about before, is that little filter thing that we ain't gonna get into. But I think they really limit the type of football players that they are trying to bring into this organization, because they want an image, which I don't understand. When you have a bad football team for the last 6 years, you looking for an image instead of looking for somebody that can go out there and knock snot bubbles out somebody. I'll take the word snot bubble from one of my recreation coaches. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Yes, there are certain things that us as fans feel like that are overlooked at times when it comes to the players that they bring into this organization. I know one thing is for certain. Yes, I do want players with a certain edge. I feel like, in certain areas we do lack some of that edge. But I will say that there are guys on this team that have been drafted that I feel like, meet some of the criteria us as fans want. I.e. Derrico, we talked about this, and you had to backtrack on Drake London. I mean, I think Drake London is a perfect example of somebody that I think has that ethos, does fit in culturally, but has that edge and has what we like to call that dog in him, and go out and get things done, and demands, that type of, you know, he's that type of guy. Like on the field, like, hey, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna get the ball. You can't stop me. So, I give him credit to that with bringing in a guy like Drake London, who I feel he fits all the criteria. He gives you the edge, and he does give you, like you said, that captain, good in front of the camera image as well. So I think it's a good mix. Banks, I'm gonna bring it over to you here, talking a little bit about ethos and cultural fits
Hold on
for the
before we go to
Falcons.
break. I just want to acknowledge our folks that watching right now. Shout out to our boy Jermaine Duncan and Gerald Gooseby out there watching us on Facebook. And like G just said, he basically is piggyback on what we're talking about. We need some dogs in the locker room, and that's with an S, not with just one. So that means we need more than just Drake London, who can be a dog on this team.
Absolutely. Banks, taking it over to you here, man. The conversation of ethos, cultural fits, all of those things that are taken into consideration when you're looking for draft picks and bringing guys into this organization, right?
I will hope so, but I hope the main thing is like everyone's saying, and Gerald alluded to. Yes, we need that dude on defense, that dog. We need somebody with an edge. We need somebody with. I hate to say it, guys. I mean, what's wrong with having somebody with a controversial past? Like, it's nothing wrong with that. If he can play football, it shouldn't be an issue. What are we talking about when you talk about a certain character issue? Do you not feel like our locker room is strong enough to overcome? He's a grown man. He's a grown man. These ain't kids, okay? We don't. We got to get away from this. Well, eh, he did this, and this, and then the media is going to come question him. So what? Is he grown enough to answer those questions? Listen, if it's a distraction that bad to where this franchise cannot handle it, it's something wrong with the franchise. That's the way I see it. Anybody that is a ball player, I don't care what you've done. If you can play ball, you can play ball. That's just the way I look at it. And that's who the Falcons need to be targeting is ball players. I don't give a flip what you do outside of that field. That's your business. But when you get
Yeah,
on that field, are you a headhunter? That's all I'm concerned about. That's just me.
I wish you would
and
went and said
understood. Understood. I totally understand that. Just to give a little bit on the other side of the coin, because I definitely agree with what you're saying, Banks. You want guys that are football players. At the end of the day, it's very, very simple. Guys that's going to go out there and get it done on the field. But I think a lot of times as fans, and we're talking about the draft as fans, on the other side of the coin is looking at it from a perspective of a business. And sometimes that gets in the way of like we say, bringing guys in that they want on the field. Like I said, I'm in total agreement with what you guys are saying, but I think from a standpoint of it's like, hey, I think sometimes they get nervous from a PR standpoint, like you said, Banks, with some of these quote unquote issues, or they get nervous to the fact, because let's be real, guys. Some of these guys that are going to get drafted tomorrow night, they're going to pay these guys a lot of money. And I think from a business standpoint, when you look at it, you have a lot of people in the room, you have a lot of people that are in discussion. It's like, hey, we have to make the right choice and the right decision for this organization, because it's a lot of money that's going to be paid out. And we have to make sure we protect the integrity of the team and make sure that we're not going to put ourselves in a PR situation. And I'm sorry, but I think that, yes, do you think that shouldn't matter? You deal with it when it happens. But I think that stuff is talked about, and it does come up. And when they vet these guys, they do a thorough job of saying, hey, are we going to put up with this? Are we going to be able to maneuver around this? And is this guy going to fit well with what we have going on here? And like you said, in the locker room as well. So there's a lot of different things to consider. But at the end of the day, Leo G is down for bringing dogs in. It's going to make it happen on the football field. But on the flip side of that, like I said, I think the teams, they overthink it a lot. I think that's the big word, is they kind of overthink when it comes to some of these guys that they look at in the draft from a standpoint, like you guys say, from character and everything else around that. But yes, got to get some dogs, got to get some guys that's going to come out there and play ball. What's up there, Coach?
Leo, so Gerald is piggybacking on what we're talking about and saying that the business should focus on the bottom line, and the bottom line is football is winning football games. You can overlook some stuff when you win it. And I think that's the big problem. If you look at the Philadelphia Eagles, who probably put the blueprint down as far as taking some guys with a little rough history. But once you get them in that organization, get them in that environment, they understand that they're not bigger than the football team. And once you get them in there and they see that you are a winning organization and they're about their business, then that's what you have to look at. We can't continue to, and I'm going to go ahead and put it in here just for my boy Gerald, North Dakota State football players. We just can't continue to go to North Dakota State, Montana State, and look for football players when we right here in the football hotbed in the South.
Here.
Yeah, I agree. And another thing is too, not to just keep running with this, because we'll move on here again. Once again, I see no problems with, over the last couple of drafts. Yes, there's always going to be some things around guys. There was the thing with Jalen Carter, you know what I'm saying, and what was going on at UGA, and there's always going to be certain things around certain guys. But at the end of the day, I think that it's up to the organization to vet these guys fully. I mean, since Jalen Carter's been at Philly, he's been playing phenomenally, and you haven't heard too much of anything about him. So like I said, it's up to these organizations to vet these guys and make sure that, hey, these guys are ready to play football. They got their heads on right, and they're going to come out and they're going to do what they got to do. So I'm in total agreement with that. Like my man Gerald said, you got to, at the end of the day, you win games. That's going to hit your bottom line, and you're going to get the revenue. You're going to get the fans up. So that's what needs to be the focus. Listen, fellas, I see some people talking about it. Who do we think they're going to get in the first round? And we're going to get to that, and we're going to talk about that here in just a second. So check it out, man. Falcons going into this draft. This is a little weird. We only got 5 picks. Banks, we got 5 picks. And when we talk about, a small number of picks, it's like you gotta really, you gotta hit on every pick, every draft, right? Whether you got 5 or 15 or however many, you gotta hit on all of them. You want to. I think last year when we looked at some of the percentages of like the actual impact players that we picked up in the draft last year, it was not good. It just wasn't good at all. I know no disrespect to Braylon Trice. I know he tore his ACL, so he didn't get a chance to perform his rookie year. Obviously, this is essentially going to be his rookie year. Michael Penix came in during the end of the season, but some of the other draft picks we got, like Dorless and Rororo, just did not pan out. You want to see production out of all of the rookies that you bring in, obviously, in the draft, but it just didn't happen that way. But Banks with 5 picks this year, and we'll talk about the number 1 pick here in just a second. The Falcons got to get this right, with these 5 picks. Obviously, going into like the 6th or 7th year, haven't been to the playoffs. They got to get this right with 5 picks, right?
Well, you can thank your quarterback, Kirk Cousins, for not having that many picks. And then the other pick went to Matthew Judon. You said something about that the picks didn't pan out. I mean, you had Ruka Rororo and you had Dorless, who didn't really see the field hardly, so you can't really say it didn't pan out. You had a head coach who didn't want to play him. Why? I have no idea, but he didn't play him, so that's not fair to them. Yes, we have to hit on these picks. We got a first, a second, a fourth, and 2 7s. I, for one, what I'm saying, I have faith that they're gonna hit. I don't have a choice. It's like we have to hit on this. Like this is it. Like this off season hinged on a lot on this organization. And I'm talking about the likes of our general manager and head coach. It's very important. Yes, this what kind of makes me kind of like, rock back and forth in my chair, thinking about who we pick first, because it's going to tell a lot. I have my opinion of what we should do, but, will they do it? I don't know. But, once we get to that point in the show, I will tell you what we should do, to kind of like give us some leeway.
Baby Banks over there rocking like Leo Mazzoni back in the day, patiently waiting when the Falcons on the clock. Derek Cole, man, listen, it's no secret. They got to hit on these picks. Like Banks just said, man, people's jobs on the line, man. Terry Fontenot, this is obviously in his short career here, tenure with the Falcons, this is going to be a defining draft for him. One of the things that Terry said too is, and I guess I can drop this as you talk about your expectations for these 5 picks that we have. There's a lot of discussion about Falcons going up and going down, right? This happens every draft of are the Falcons going to go up? Should we trade back? Should we do this? Right now, they currently hold a number 15 pick. And I know there's a lot of chatter among the fans about, well, the Falcons should trade back. The Falcons should trade back. Terry Fontenot came out today and said something to the nature of, and I'm paraphrasing this, that he is more inclined to trade up than he is trade back. He's a very aggressive person when it comes to that type of style of drafting. However his board might look, he said he's more inclined to trade up. With all that being said, Derek Cole, what needs to happen, and we'll talk specifically about positions and picks here in just a moment, but what does Terry need to really focus on in making sure that, he solidifies the best draft class that he can get?
Again, he needs to stay from the West Coast, the Midwest. He needs to stay from over there. If he wants to really do something real with this draft, he better stay over here in the South and on defense. I'm just going to tell you right now, if you want a bona fide player, or you can go up to Ohio State. Ohio State really is pumping out some players. But he need to focus over here on the SEC. Not being an SEC homer, but as point blank been proven that SEC players have been very, very successful in this league. So that's the first thing that he need to worry about. Second thing you need to worry about and understand, he only got 3 picks. You can say he got 5. He got 3 picks. Them 2 7s don't mean jack. He can't do nothing with that unless he hit goal, and it's like that. But let me tell you, that's not going to happen. So he got that first, that second, and that fourth, unless we unload Kirk before the draft or during the draft to get some more picks, or he bundle up some picks from next year and come up and move into the draft to get somebody. But his focus better be on defense, and I think we talked about this briefly. Unless it's a tackle on offense, that's the only thing that you better be getting in this draft.
Defense. Absolutely. I'm totally agreeing with that. Banks, how do you feel about I don't know, moving. I know the conversation is always talked about moving back, and let's be real. And I think we're all in agreement on this here, and hopefully the fans will be in agreement on this here. Moving either forward or back in the draft is not as easy as people think it is. You know, I hear a lot of people all the time, every draft, every year. Well, we should just move back. We should just move back. You can't. This is not like chess. You can skip your turn. Like we playing Uno. You can just hold up a skip card or something, skip me and come back to me or something like that. There has to be somebody that is willing to trade up with you because it's somebody that they see that they want, or there has to be some type of value in you trading back and getting some more draft capital. So, you know, the conversation of they should trade, you know, back, you know, every year we hear this trade back, get some more pick. If nobody's willing to trade back with you, if you get on the phone when you're on the clock and everybody say, nah, we good, then you have to be committed to stick to that pick. Banks, why is this every year conversation that we have to have with fans and they get pissed off because we didn't trade back or didn't trade up? Why is this so hard to understand?
You got a lot of fans that are not educated on how things work. You know, we still have fans out there that believes if you just win your divisional games, you win the division. And how many times I had to explain that's not how it works in the NFL. But you know, it's just clue like your tagline says, clueless. They're clueless. Listen, I for one would love to see Terry trade down and have another party, another team that participate and have us, you know, getting us accumulating some picks. You know what I'm saying? I feel like we're in a desperate mode when it comes to like this off season. We need some kind of draft capital. We need to trade down. I mean, it's not the most popular opinion, and this is what I had, you know, thought in my brain. You know, what if, fellas, if we packaged in Tyler Algier on draft night, something that came out of left field, and he's up to another team for some draft picks. At this point, we can't even be upset about it. It's like we have to do what we got to do. I mean, we got Bijan. You can find another running back somewhere down the line. You have to do what you have to do. Trading up Leo, I think that will basically get him on a first class ticket out of here. Terry won't dare do that. You know what I'm saying? If you trade up for any reason, for any person, for any player, and you lose draft capital when you don't have any to begin with, yeah, that's gonna be his swan song. And I feel confident now. I sit here talk to you and Derico that we're not trading up.
Hey
We're
man,
not
listen.
trading up.
Hey, can I ask this question?
Smoking, you know, a lot of this is smoke and mirrors. A lot of this is smoke and mirrors.
Right.
So you got to take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, Banks. Let's say this: if my boy from Penn State, let's say, slide to 4 or 5, and we can jump up and give up capital for 26 and 27, would you not do it?
You give up draft
And
capital for 26 and 27, but
yes,
you're trying to get in the top 5 from 15.
yes,
That's a pipe dream, sir. You're not doing that from 15 to 5. Okay,
I'm just
you're
asking a
going to be
question.
giving. No, I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're
It's a
saying.
hypothetical. It's a hypothetical.
I definitely hear what you're saying. But
Yeah,
in a realistic world, in order to get in a top 5 pick from 15, you're gonna have to give up something this year.
Well, if
And
you
I'm
giving up,
sorry, you're not
if
doing
you
it. I'm
giving up,
sorry,
I'm
you're
saying
just
so.
not doing
But I'm
it.
saying if you are able to give up the capital, Banks, I guess what Derek is saying, if you are able to package up the capital to do it, would you be inclined? Would you be okay with Terry doing it if there was such a way to package a deal?
If it
Like
was
you
such a
said, Tyler
way, if it's
Algiers
not,
or
if
anybody
it's
else, Kirk Cousins, all that got packaged together some kind of way. We're talking hypotheticals right now.
if you're gonna do all that and you're gonna give up draft capital and a player just to get up in the top 5 to get, I'm thinking you're talking about
Carter,
Abdul Carter.
Carter, right?
Carter.
Carter, okay.
Yeah,
I don't know, dude. My thing is, then what you gonna do after that? What are you gonna do in the second round? I'm pretty sure you got to throw in that second round pick. I mean, you're
no,
basically done for the draft. You're done.
no,
You just
I
picked
don't
up
think,
one player and you're done.
I don't think you're gonna, I don't think you're gonna package that second round pick. Like I
You will
said, you
have
probably
to. You're gonna
not.
have to. You're not giving up to the top 5 by giving up a 7th round pick and maybe a
I ain't
4th
talking
round
about
next
no
year.
7. I ain't talking about no 7 round pick. I
You talking
said
about
if you give
a
up
first
high picks in
next
26
year?
and 27, They've been
So you
doing
will
that
give
more and
up a
more.
first? Would you give a first
You
round
you
next
have
year
you would
for
have
it?
to you would have to
You
you would
gonna
have
have
to.
to.
Absolutely not.
You
Absolutely
gonna have
not.
to.
I would not
Why
do
not?
that. No,
If we sit
no.
here bitching about we need a bona fide pass rusher, you need to go get what you can get. Because all you're doing at that point is trading first round picks this year and giving up a first round pick next year. Because I don't know too many edge rushers that we talking about next year coming out. So yeah, I would do it. If that's the case, if I got to give up a first and a second in 26 in 27, a first in 26, a second in 27, and throw that fourth round pick in there this year and move up, I'm going to get that boy.
Hey man, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. I mean, we'll just see. It's a lot of hypotheticals, a lot of different things that happen on draft night. Shaking. Speaking of which, speaking of trades, I know Banks has said something about Tyler Algiers possibly being moved on draft night. But what Kirk Cousins? Let's talk quickly about Kirk Cousins and where he could play a role in this draft. Because me
Why?
personally, personally here, let's talk about it here. I'm thinking my personal opinion is that we won't see anything early on. Shout out to everybody that's in our comments too, man. Tonight, man. Gerald, our boy Stokes, Wes Winslet, our boy over there, man. Jermaine, man. Shout out to all of y'all, man, with the questions, and we're gonna try to answer as much as we can here in just a moment. But I'm thinking the whole Kirk Cousins conversation might come into play somehow in the draft once you see how this top heavy, with quarterbacks where we go. I know Gerald said something about Shador. Like, could you do something if he's still on the board at 15? There are a lot of different variables that go into that as well. Derek, do you feel like tomorrow night we could see a possible move for the Falcons to get Kirk Cousins? I know there have been some chatter and talk about the Falcons looking for somebody to take a chunk, if not all of that 20 million that's guaranteed to Kirk. Do you think that there could possibly be any rumblings about somebody, making a deal with the Falcons to take Kirk Cousins and then actually giving us some more draft capital?
There's always a possibility. It's the NFL. Anything can happen in the NFL draft. I mean, you got some needy teams for quarterbacks, and if their quarterback is gone before pick 15, then that's when the phone is going to start ringing off the hook. Because just look at it. Technically, you probably got 2.5 guys that really should go in the top 10 as far as quarterbacks, in my opinion. And that's Cam Ward, and I'm probably going to backtrack and say
Jackson Dart.
Shador.
I think Jackson Dart
Jackson
from
Dart,
Ole
yeah.
Miss.
And I'm with you on that. That's why I was about to. No, I'm not putting Shador in front of Jackson Dart, and that's just my opinion. And I think a lot of people probably don't like that opinion, but that's just what it is. And now Gerald over there fuming at the gut right now because I just said that I said I picked Jackson Dart over Shador.
I would too. I back you up on that, brother, man. That's a whole nother conversation that will have to be had probably after the draft. Banks, do you feel like there might be some rumblings here before we move on and talk about a few other things with this draft with Kirk Cousins on draft night? Like Derek said, we never know.
You're absolutely right. You never know. I mean, I'm hearing things about, the Falcons, retract the statement saying that they, the media got it wrong, that they didn't really say that they want somebody to take the 20 million. I don't know what the Falcons are doing. Like I said, they've been very tight-lipped lately, and they've been trying to play these little mind games. So people won't try to figure out what they're going to do with Kirk Cousins. I, for one, think that it could probably be a day like on Friday, perhaps, or even Saturday. We might try to move him. It's not necessarily have to be on the first round, but this is going to be an interesting moment because I mean, I for one think, in my opinion, I don't think anybody's dumb enough to even come up and inquire about Kirk Cousins and that money. If so, then point that team out to me because that would be a monumental flick a fleece on Terry's part to have anybody to call about Kirk Cousins and that contract. So I'm I'm just gonna sit and wait. I for one have an opinion about it. I think he's gonna be here week one. Um, Unfortunately, I mean, I know a lot of folks don't want to hear that, but I don't see it happening. I don't think team is going to be that desperate. Be like, we got to get Kirk Cousins in here. It's just, you know, I don't see it.
Hey man, like I said, we never know. So let's get into it, man. Tomorrow night is going down. Shout out to everybody that's gonna make their way down to Mercedes Benz for the Atlanta Falcons draft party. I'm still up in the air on it 50-50 if I'm gonna actually go down. I know our man Banks said that he was gonna make his way down there to check out the draft day festivities at Mercedes Benz. Falcons always do a good job with the draft day festivities, even though sometimes the pick can mess everybody up. But I have had fun going to the draft day celebrations that the Falcons have had over the years, man. I think they do a good job. And from what I understand, talking to other NFL fans, we kind of take for granted, fellas, some of the things that this organization does. I talk to fans of other teams a lot, and the Falcons, believe it or not, are an organization that does go above and beyond. When I tell people all the time what the organization does, when they do this, they do that. Oh, I've been a Detroit Lions season ticket holder forever. Well, first of all, shout out to you for being a Detroit Lions season ticket holder forever and talking about that the organization doesn't do a lot. And it's not really as big as some of the things that I've shouted out our Falcons for doing for the season ticket holders and tenured members of the fan base. So listen, fellas, here it is tomorrow night, man. We're going into it. Like we already discussed, 5 picks. Obviously, we got a pick on the first night at 15 if it holds. So right now, let's rank by priority what the Falcons actually need. We don't even need to address the elephant in the room, right, fellas? It is edge. It is defensive line help. That is the number one priority with this team. I think behind that, we also are looking for help in the secondary, i.e. the cornerback position. We're also looking for help at the linebacker position. Also looking for help across the offensive line. I think there's no secret that those are the top 5 priorities going into this draft that we can look at, but mainly it's going to be heavily focused on the defense because let's be real, that is where the Falcons need the majority of the help. We have a lot of our playmakers and a lot of our talent on the offensive side of the ball. I'm not opposed to looking at offensive talent. Obviously, we do need probably to solidify the offensive line. You can always have guys on the offensive line to protect the assets that we have at the skill position player. So I'm not opposed to that, even if it's high. If you feel like it's that guy that's going to be your next solid tackle for the next 10, 12 years, then pull the trigger and do it. I don't think I'd be mad at that. So let's talk about this pick in the first round. There have been a lot of names thrown out there, guys, and we'll talk about them here. I'll just throw them out, and then I go to you all, and you tell me who you think would be key for that pick, right? So the first name that's been thrown around that I've seen on a lot of the mocks is Jahadi Campbell out of Alabama, who's a linebacker. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk. We've talked about this off air, fellas, about Mike Green, the edge guy out of Marshall, an athlete, just crazy, freakish athlete, started his playing career at wide receiver. Then they moved him to edge. Had a lot of highlights and buzz from the Senior Bowl and the game that Marshall played against Ohio State. He was able to do a lot. Another guy that's kind of under the radar, but I think he's coming around and might be a high pick is Walter Nolan out of Ole Miss, the defensive lineman who's kind of versatile and can do a lot of things that'll probably still be there at number 15. A lot of talk about Will Johnson, cornerback out of Michigan as well, at being a pick for us. Couple of other names out there. Malachi Starks, obviously at safety. Yeah, we could use a little safety help in addition to our man Jesse Bates back there. Jalen Walker, another linebacker out of Georgia, who's getting a lot of talk because we've talked about how the Falcons sent everybody and their mama to UGA's pro day up there, and they've been really, really big, or making it seem as though that they're big on these UGA players this go round. Also, there was talk about one of the edge guys out of Boston College as well being available at the 15th pick. And there's a myriad of guys from other mock drafts that have been linked to the Falcons. Banks, we're going to take it over to you here, man. Let's talk about this number 1 pick. Let's talk about where we need to go and who do you feel will be a great fit if you were in the seat and making that pick for the Falcons.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and explain that this is mock draft season. This is mock draft season that's kind of wrapping up, if you will. And the last one I just saw today via Charles Davis from NFL.com. He said that we're looking at the dude from Oregon, the Derek Harmon, the defensive tackle from Oregon. The more I think about it, the more I start to say, the Walter Nolans, yeah, we might need to replace that cog in the middle, and it will help, your edge rushers. I don't know we're gonna get from Leonard Floyd, guys. I have no idea. I can't put my eggs in one basket with that guy. I don't I'm not sold on him. If I guess that's if you want to call it. Somebody even like, yeah, well, we got Trice still. Trice is coming off an injury. How much? I mean, if you're gonna depend on him to be your guy, that's not a good place to be right now, fellas. But at the same token, losing Grady Jarrett hurt, and I feel like we have to replace that talent or replace something remotely close to it. So I, for one, will hope and pray that we do have another team to, you know, dance with us, and we can move down a couple of spots, and we can acquire an extra draft pick and Walter Nolan, or any defensive tackle at that position. Yes, I want a pass rush, you know what I'm saying? But I feel like now as I've been, looking at down, researching, defensive tackle is a very naked position for us as we speak. And it's a big problem on Terry Fontenot. I don't want to be in, but yeah, he's got a lot cut out in front of him.
Hey, I total agreement, man. The defensive line is the point that we need to be focused fully on. I don't know what that whiteboard looks like up there at Flowery Branch, but I'm pretty sure that it should be. I was about because it should be top heavy with D linemen. It should be top heavy with D linemen up there at Flowery Branch. Derek, oh man, same thing over to you, man. And I'll give my take here on it in just a second, man. Here we are, pick 15 tomorrow. We're on the clock. What are you looking at, man? If you're there, making the call, man, where are you going with this thing, man?
Banks made me rethink what I was going to say because it makes perfect sense. If you look at the players that we do already have on our roster that have not played a lot, but that's what you drafted them for, is to be on the edge, because we really don't have that beef inside. I don't know what we're going to get out of, what's his name, Amanyura, whatever his name is. Y'all already talked about Aurora. So I just feel like we definitely need a young stud in that middle if someone is there that's worth that pick and not a reach. If that person is not there, then if the edge person is there, I'm taking the edge person. But my fallback is going to be that safety from South Carolina. If we get a headhunter back there to replace what that boy that we got from Cincinnati didn't do, the other boy from Cincinnati, I think that's where he was
He
from.
came from Denver now. He talking about it came from Denver.
Harrison,
Simmons.
yeah.
He's talking about
Yeah,
Simmons. Justice Simmons.
If we got, because we need another safety.
Yeah.
I mean, we really do need another safety. And if that boy from South Carolina there, I'm really looking at him. Some people might say that Nick Imawara will be a little reach there at 15. But if your two top guys are not there, I mean, what is he going to do if you can't trade back? At that point, you getting the best player on your board, and that might be the best player on your board if your other two people already got taken off the board. So yeah, that's where I'm going. D tackle, edge, and safety at the end. And I know somebody gonna say, well, why we don't get a corner? Well, you need somebody in the back end, because if you ain't got no pass rush, you definitely gonna need somebody in the back end.
Man, listen. Hey, you guys hit it hard, man. It's defense, it's defense, it's defense. I mean, obviously, I think, man, it's safe to say if you were gonna put money down that this first pick, wherever it is in the first round, it has to be defense. And I'm of that. Banks, just to take a little bit from you, obviously, man, you got to maybe replace a guy like Grady Jarrett that was in the middle for a decade there and held it down, and he did what he was supposed to do, man. A solid pick, man. Shout out to our boy Woods. Yeah, y'all got a real one up there in Chicago with Grady. And we do have guys. So here's the thing: we do have a new defense coordinator, and we do have to kind of look at Raheem as being a defensive-minded coach. No, Gerald, I agree with you. We can't put it all on Braylon Trice, but we still have guys there that we need production out of. Caden Ellis is a guy that we got production out of on the pass rush. Arnold Ebiketie, I don't know if we'll get him to turn over to the monster that we want him to be, obviously, but we need some production out of him because he's still going to be on that roster, right? So, yeah, we need to add to that front, in my opinion. I think that's where we need to go, and that's what we need to do. We need to solidify that. we need some versatility, I think, as well on the defensive line. A guy like Nolan is a versatile guy that you can move and see mismatches. Not a Jalen Carter type, but I think he's athletic enough to be able to do some of the things that you would like to do. So that's a guy that I'm really watching, and I'm hopeful that they're able to take a look at, man. And also, yes, I mean, the obvious pick that everybody, the hot name is Mike Green. The athleticism of him and putting him on the edge would be, I think, great, and I think it would translate very, very well with the defense that they're trying to run. So Mike Green would be like a second guy that I'm looking at. And Derek Cole, I'm gonna steal your thunder a little bit as well, man. If you can't really get that piece that's going to solidify that defensive front, you need to be looking at the back end of that. I think Malachi Starks might not make it to 15, in my opinion. But let me tell you something. If he does, and your white boy has him up there at the top, you run to the damn phone and bring a kid in like Malachi Starks. I was listening to DJ Shockley talk about him today and how he did everything at Georgia. And that's a guy that's going to be versatile, and I think that could be very, very big in the secondary. And it'll bring another one of them Georgia boys into the team that everybody talks about, that always eludes us, and we always overlook when it comes to UGA and bringing in talent here. So Malachi Starks will be somebody to look at if he just so happens to get back there to the number 15 spot. So, yeah, man, I think you address it. Like I said, I like Walter Nolan. I do like, the kid Green from Marshall. And like I said, a kid like Malachi Starks would solidify your secondary if you bring him in, because he can do so much, man. You could line him up in the slot. You can move him around a bunch of different places. And like you said, Derek Cole, I know you like them head hunting safeties. He could do that as well. You can move him all over the field. So I like that. So, fellas, I want to talk a couple of talking points about some of the players. I know we talked earlier in the podcast here about that whole ethos situation and some of the character situations that the Falcons in the past have maybe had issues with when it comes to taking players. Just throwing this out there, a guy like Mike Green, there's been a little bit of controversy around him. I'm not going to go too far off into the details, but I think this guy is a solid enough player for them to be able to make it work if he were to be there to pick up. I think his intangibles, I think our boy Gerald said that it was a comparison. I don't want to go as far as say the comparison is to Khalil Mack. That's the numbers and everything that jumped off at the combine. The comparison with him and Mike, we know he's very athletic. Banks, I'm gonna take it over to you here, man. Somebody like Mike Green from Marshall, if he's still on the board with all the quote unquote controversy that's surrounding him or whatever the case may be, do you feel like the Falcons need to run to the podium if this guy's high on their whiteboard and he could contribute at the edge? Do you think the Falcons need to run to the podium and say, hey, this is the pick for us?
Yes. We're in no position to be trying to screen out certain players, okay? The answer is yes. If he plays football and he can get to the quarterback, the answer is yes. I can give a flip if you farted wrong. I don't care. Listen here. You play football, you do what you're supposed to do at your position. The answer is yes. I don't insert name here. I don't give a flip who you are, what school you went to. If you can play, you can play. You know what I'm saying? I can kill a flying, if what you do outside of football, okay, at this point. And the Falcons should feel the same way. Okay, you look on a list, that one particular list that I've seen that is so depressing that they have our sack total since 2017. It's depressing. I don't want to see 32nd, 31st, 30th, 32nd. How many times did I see the number 31 or lower, or 30 or lower? I only think I saw probably one time on that list is probably 16. That's the highest we have been defensively in sacks. It's not funny. It's really sad. I mean, it's sad to the point where it's like, we as Falcon fans, we are ranked 16th in sack. Is that a victory for us? Like, are we really going to be high-fiving each other? Oh my God, we're actually average, but you know what? That's crazy, and I guess you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
You got to start somewhere. And I feel like if we are ranked 16th or 17th, yeah, it might be a little small victory. But at the same time, look where we are, bro.
Damn it, that's not where I want to be. But if we finish the season next year, 16th or 15th in sacks, with the additions that we have, damn it, I'm gonna take it because obviously our defense, if they would have had those sack totals this year, we'd probably be in the playoffs. Derek Cole, I'm gonna hand it over to you, man.
Yeah, I was just about to say that probably would equate to 2 more victories if you jump from 31, 32, 30 up to 16, 15 in sacks. I mean,
It
just
might
being
actually
realistic about it.
it might pass 2 wins if you might get
That's what I
4
just
if
said.
you really think
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is even with where we stand, I'm not even talking about the past regimes we had. I'm not talking about the Arthur Smiths and the Dan Quinns and the Mike Smiths. I'm talking about before that. I'm talking about with the Dan Reeves, and the coaches, the regimes before him, we haven't really sat down and said, damn, that defense that year was just off the chain. And that whole
it go back all the way to the Grits Blitz.
listen, I was a
But
child. I was a
that's
child
why
when
they
that
Super
happens.
Bowls.
Let me tell you something. The Super
Yeah,
Bowl year in 1998, I think they were ranked, I want to say like 11th or something like that, or
yeah,
12th or something to
they
that
was
nature.
tough.
But that following year, Jericho, they were ranked like 27th. Like it fell off a cliff. So I don't know when the longevity is going to start, when we're going to actually have, listen, the Falcons as a whole, as long as I remember, has kept our offense. Okay. We are known to, we can get a offensive, I'm not even going to say offensive lineman, a running back or a skilled position player, a wide receiver. We can do that all day long. And, we can go out and think about the 1991 Falcons and how they were just running people off the field.
Yeah.
My grandfather was telling me about the 1980 team and how explosive they was. I've never heard not one person say, I remember going to that Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. That defense was some tough. Never heard it in my life. Never
Man,
seen
so
it in
look,
my life.
Well,
so look,
that's the thing. That's the thing with having a philosophy, and it has to be something like you have to, on purpose, bring somebody in here that has that mentality that we are going to build our football team from the inside out. You just got to preach that, and that's what somebody got to believe. And this organization has to actually run to that philosophy, because if they don't, Banks, what you're saying is we're going to continue to be drafting a tight end at number 4, a running back at number 8. That's what we're going to continue to do.
Hey, I hope not. I hope is what you said, Derek Cole, man, is that the brain trust at Flowery Branch right now is trying to get the inside of this thing together, and then we keep expanding on that, man. Work on the trenches like we've said in the past, and everything else will let it play out. Fellas, we've come up to the mark, fellas. Listen, we've discussed who we think that the Falcons should get, man. We've had some conversations about the GM. We've had some spirited conversations in the comments as well. Fellas, tomorrow is going to be draft night. Then we're going to come back and we're going to evaluate all the picks on next week, man, and see how this thing all shakes out. Banks, I hope you feel a little better and not numb, and maybe just a tad bit of excitement to see how this is going to play out. I will tell you this much, Banks. We're not drafting a quarterback if we stay at number 15. How about that? So you ain't got to worry on that front. Listen, man, we about to wrap this thing
I
over.
can't even say that and be confident with it. At this point, when you went out there and got a quarterback last year, and the year before that you got a running back, and the year before that you got a wide receiver, and the year before that you got a tight end, anything's on the table. You know what I'm saying? I can't ever say no, they won't do it. I didn't even think we were going to get Michael Penix this last draft. I said, there's no way we're doing that because we had Kirk Cousins. So no, Leo, you cannot say that. So
We're not getting a quarterback, man.
And what if we
Listen,
did?
listen here.
What if we wouldn't? Just think about it now, Banks. It looks like a very good move now, doesn't it?
yeah,
I
hindsight
mean,
is always
hold on, Jericho. Hold on.
Franchise quarterback.
Hold on. We got to see him play. We only seen him for 4 games. Let's not go ahead and crown this man yet. We got to really, really, if he comes out there and we get to a playoffs, yes, it was a good move. But until then, it's still in the air. I'm
Hey
not
man,
about to
we'll get
sit
it
here and
together.
say we did it right after 4 games.
We go, hey,
So
we gonna see. Like I said, we gonna see. We gonna see. We gonna see.
I'm
Hey,
claiming it.
claim it. Claim it. Absolutely. We're going to claim it. We're going to claim it. We're going to throw it up there and claim it in the atmosphere, man. Derek O, listen. Hey, man, we at the mark. Fellas, I know we could keep going on and on and on. We'll bring some of this energy back into some more conversations as we move forward into the season. We're going to talk about this draft after next week on the next conversation. Then also, we're also moving into May, talk about the schedule and how it shakes out and the dates and the relevancy of the schedule and how it applies to the Atlanta Falcons. Also, moving forward, we'll also be talking about everything Atlanta sports. Fellas, I know it was a lot to talk about that we didn't get into, but tonight was all NFL draft, and we'll try to get into those topics on next week's show. Derek O, man, you know how we do it, man. Let everybody know where they can find you at, brother.
Hey, brother, y'all can find me on the Facebook at Stacy D. Derrico. You can find me on IG at Derrico_Virgo. I told y'all I was on TikTok, but Anyway, it's on Black_Virgo. There's a method to that madness with that Virgo stuff, y'all see. And IG, Snapchat. I'm on Snapchat too. What am I on Snapchat? Oh, DJ K06. That's where you can find me. And also you can find me right here, baby girl, in the patio right now where I'm at. That's where I'm spending most of my time now.
Banks, over to you, man. Shout out also, man, before we close this thing out, man. Shout out Banks, man. All White Affair, man, went down this past weekend, man. It was a wonderful soiree that you had down there, man. Absolutely had a great time, man. Thanks for having us down. It was awesome, man. So let everybody know, man, where they can find you at. So the next time you throw one of these soirees, man, they can get down, man. They come holler at your boy, man. Let everybody know where they can find you out here.
Listen, I appreciate you, Leo, for showing up at my celebration. Derrico, you was there in spirit, and let me tell you something. We had a blast. Anybody else out there know that I know how to do it big. It's not gonna be the last time I'm gonna have one of these. I'm gonna have more, because I had such a good time with friends and family. But anywho, anyway, you can find me at BabyBanks80 on Instagram, or you can find me at Antoine Jarrell Banks on Facebook. And yes, I am in a lot of Falcons fan groups. So people that's lurking and watching, you can find me in the Falcon fan groups as well, because I do voice my opinions. I'm not gonna keep it always sugar coated and gooey and make you feel gall inside. I'm gonna keep it raw. I'm gonna let you know how I feel. Listen, Falcons is my team. I have the right to say what I want to say about them. They have did so many things, the goods and the bads, and I criticize them the same. Let me tell you guys, I appreciate you guys for this show, but we've been doing this very strong. How I feel about all my teams in this city. Falcons, they have to really, really have something done here and right here for me to go all in on them all the time. So yes, I'm not a bad person, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just telling how like it is.
I feel you, brother. I feel you, man. It sounded like that was directed at somebody personally, but we'll talk about that off air. Hey, listen, man. Hey, man, catch us on Twitter, man. ATL 3 Style. Y'all know what it is, man. You can also catch me at Southern Set out here on Twitter, X, we want to call it these days. Also catch me on Facebook. And also, listen, while everybody was spirited in our conversations, man, like and subscribe. We see all the likes, man. We appreciate it. Subscribe to the show on YouTube. Subscribe to the show on Facebook. Tell your mama, tell your cousin, tell your nephew, aunties, everybody. Subscribe to the show ATL 3 Style Live, man. We love doing this. If you love Atlanta sports, hit a like, get a subscribe, man, and hear us out every week as we do this thing for Atlanta sports. Also, man, we got some big things that we got coming up here pretty soon, man. You can catch us at one of these Footy Mob tailgates pretty soon. Details coming, man. We'll be at one of these Footy Mob tailgates, and we'd love to see some of you guys come out. If you have been to a soccer match, shout out Footy Mob. We're gonna bring some cats out to the tailgate, and then of course, with football season coming up in the fall, the Falconers are gonna be doing their thing as well. So we'll get some of y'all out to that tailgate as well. All right, man. Draft is going to be tomorrow. We'll catch you guys next week. We'll talk about everything draft related with the Falcons, and also we'll touch back on some of the other ATL sports items that we missed. This has been another edition of the ATL 3 Style Live Podcast, and we out.